How are we, lads? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Nick from Australia, and as always, welcome to the NRL Round 27 tips and predictions. Hope everyone is doing well for your Tuesday afternoon, 5:36 p.m. here in New South Wales. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm just reading CJ's comment in the live chat. If you don't tip us, there will be words on call tonight. Losing it. It's a hard round to pick, really. Last round of the year, couple teams resting players, couple teams playing for top 4, top 8. It's all happening this weekend. There we go. The internet's working. Sorry, guys. When I started, the internet said it was going shithouse, so it's working good now. I hope everyone's going well, man. Hello to the live chat. G'day to CJ Moxley. G'day to Josh. Thanks for that comment on Instagram. No worries, bro. All good. I hope you had a good birthday. G'day to Dylan. Hello to Liam. Luke Melbourne Storm fan. Michael Driver. Diggs _96. Everyone that's watching. Jeffrey. Michael. Hope everyone's good, man. Tom Mitchell in the live chat. Hope everyone's going good, man. Round 27. It's unbelievable. The final round of the season. Cowboys are already on Mad Monday. We have the bye this weekend. So good to end the year off with a nice win over the bye. And now we can just focus on 2026. But anyway, let's get into it, man. Round 27. It's going to be a big one. Couple of big games. Couple of dead games. But let's begin. And it all starts off with an absolute blockbuster game to start the round. Thursday night, 7:50 up at Suncorp Stadium. It is the Brisbane Broncos taking on the Melbourne Storm. The Melbourne Storm, they are $1.65. The Broncos are at $2.25. Huge game this. Now, if the Broncos win, they will lock up 4th spot and book a date with the Raiders in week 1 of the finals. If they lose, they could fall to 6 at worst. So if they lose this, they might finish 5th or 6th, depending on the Warriors and the Sharks over the weekend. Now, Melbourne Broncos, it's always a big game when these sides play each other. $1.65 for Melbourne, Brisbane at $2.25. Now, Shibasaki's been rested for the game. So Dean Mariner goes into the centres. Jesse Arthur's onto the wing. Everything else looks to be as per usual with the Broncos. As for the Melbourne Storm, a couple of big ends. A couple of really big ends here, man. Pappenhausen's back. Everyone's back. Nick Meaney, Munster, Coates. Jerome Hughes is back from injury. Nelson's in the front row. Still no Harry Grant. Sean Blaw's out with an injury, so Lissa Taya will start in the back row. Everything else looks pretty good for Melbourne. This is going to be close. This is going to be a really close game on Thursday night. To be honest, I think Melbourne win. I think the Broncos can win. But I just like Melbourne in this game. I know they don't lose 2 in a row all that often, but I think after what happened last week, Craig Bellamy's 600th game didn't go to plan. I think Melbourne will be looking for a response. So I'm going to go Melbourne by 6. I think it's going to be a really tight game, though. Storm by 6. First try score, I'm going to go with the back rower, Eli Katoa in the back row. I think he might score the first try. But, yeah, I think Storm win by 6 should be a really good game, though, on Thursday night. If the Broncos win, fair play, but I think Melbourne will get them on Thursday night in a thriller. Now, moving on to Friday night football, guys, and the very first game is at 6 o'clock from Brookvale Oval out there in the Northern Beaches. It is the Manly Seagulls taking on the New Zealand Warriors. Now, a couple of big things to play for here. If the Broncos lose, the Warriors will have a chance to go back into the top 4, and obviously pending if the Sharks get beat on Saturday. So it's a pretty big game for the Warriors. Manly, well, they obviously want to send Cherry Evans out with a win in his final game for Manly. Not much with team news. Clayton Fa'olo and Tommy Talau will be the centres. Joey Walsh will debut on the bench for Manly. Sipley is on the bench as well, but apparently it could be suspended yet, so we'll see what happens there. And for the Wars, Sam Healy comes in for Wade Egan, which is a big loss. Still no Jackson Ford as well. Look, the Warriors are definitely more than capable of going to Manly and getting a win, but I just can't see it happening, to be honest, guys. I think Manly win on Friday night, and I think Manly win well. I think back at Brookvale, it'll be a big crowd. Cherry Evans' last game for Manly. I just think Manly will be a little bit too good for the Warriors here, guys. So I'm going to say Manly win. Manly win well. Manly by about 16 points. I think they'll be too good for the Warriors. First try score, I'm going to go with Jason Saab. It feels like Saab hasn't scored a try for a while, so I'll back in Saab to score first. Manly by 16. I think they'll be winning, and I think they'll be too good for the Warriors on Friday night. Moving now, speaking of Friday night, we now go into an absolute blockbuster. The Book of Feuds continues. I'm sure another chapter will be written in this one. Friday night, 8 o'clock from Allianz Stadium at Moore Park. The Sydney Roosters up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. The Roosters are $1.30. The Rabbitohs are at $3.60. Now, for the Roosters, they welcome back Sam Walker. Sam Walker comes back into the side, which is good for them. Everything else looks to be pretty much the same. Fekete drops out for Blake Steep. And for the Rabbitohs, a couple of big changes here, a couple of big ins. Jack Whiten returns from suspension. He goes into the centres. Ward and Humphreys will be the halves once again. Keon in the front row once again. Brendan Smith, he's been given the all clear to play, considering the outside noise. Cody Walker on the bench. And the big one, Cameron Murray. Cameron Murray finally returns from his injury. He is on the bench. Not sure how many minutes Cam Murray will play Friday night, but he is on the bench. Now, there's a simple equation to this game. If the Roosters win, they play finals. If they lose and the Rabbitohs beat the Roosters, if the Dolphins beat a depleted Canberra side, the Dolphins can get into the 8 and the Roosters would miss out. Now, the Dolphins would have to win by about, I think it's 16 points, and the Roosters would have to lose this game. So if South beat them by 4 points, then the Dolphins would just have to win by about 12 or more on Sunday. So big opportunity for the Rabbitohs, and they are more than capable of winning this game. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I think the Roosters win on Friday night. And to be honest, I think the Roosters win well. I think they'll be a little bit too good here. The Rabbitohs, the Roosters were so impressive last week. I know Melbourne did rest a few players, and the Roosters were... I'm laughing because CJ in the live chat, I knew he'd be mad about this. I just think the Roosters... You're killing me, Mox. The Roosters were good last week, and I know Melbourne had a few out, but their style of football at the moment is really exciting to watch, and I just think Roosters will just be too much for the Rabbitohs to handle on Friday night. So I'm going to go the Roosters by about 14. I think they'll be a little bit too good. First try scorer, I'm going to go with Daniel Tupou to score the first try on the left wing. But the other thing I want to bring in to the predictions on Friday night, although I think the Roosters win, Alex Johnson needs 3 tries to break the record. I reckon AJ gets a hat-trick, but the Roosters win the game. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but I reckon AJ gets the record, gets 3 tries in this game, but the Roosters win the game by about 14 points. So anyway, I think Roosters win, but if I'm wrong, I'm sure CJ Moxley will let me know about it if the Rabbitohs win. Anyway, moving on to far out. All right, let's move on now before I just crack up laughing again. All right, Super Saturday. The final Super Saturday of the year. A little bit sad, to be honest. A little bit sad. The first game, what do we got? We got Dragons and the Panthers. 3 o'clock at Wollongong Win Stadium. Dragons, what are they paying? $4.10. Penrith, $1.25. Penrith have named pretty much a full-strength team. Pretty much a full-strength team. The Dragons are in all sorts, to be honest. They can't win a game. They've lost their confidence, I think. Penrith have named a lot of everyone to play, really. Edwards, McLean, Cleary, Leota, Garner, Yo. They're all in. Papali'i on the bench, Liam Henry. Look, I'll keep this short and sweet, guys. I think the Dragons will be competitive for a while, but I think Penrith will be a little bit too good here, guys. So, for me, Penrith will win. They'll win by about 18 points in this game. First try will be Casey McLean at left centre. I think he'll score first. Penrith by 18. I think that'll be a little bit too good for the Dragons out there at the Gong on Saturday. All right, the 5:30 game on Super Saturday. Now, I know it looks like a shit game, but if the Titans can win, they can avoid the wooden spoon. So it's a really big game for the Titans. They need to win. If they win, they might avoid last. So it's 5:30 Saturday on the Gold Coast. Gold Coast Titans, West Tigers. West Tigers, $1.70. Gold Coast are at $2.10. A couple of changes for the Gold Coast, and I think they're good changes. Keanu Kinney goes to fullback. Brian Kelly to the wing. Brimson to centre. Carter Gordon goes into the centres. Foran and Campbell will be in the halves. Cooper Bye off the bench. I believe that might be a debutant. And for the West Tigers, Mekasini, I believe that's his last name. He's making his debut. Everything else for the Tigers looks to be per usual. So, if the Gold Coast win, they might avoid the wooden spoon depending on what happens with Newcastle. I'm going to tip the Gold Coast. I believe the Gold Coast will win. I don't believe the Gold Coast will get the wooden spoon. I think Newcastle deserve the wooden spoon. I think Newcastle are more diabolical to watch, and I just think Newcastle are disgusting. So, the Gold Coast playing on the Gold Coast against the Tigers, who have seen, the Tigers have seemed to just give up their season. They're obviously out of it now. I think the Gold Coast are going to win this game, guys. So I'm going to go the Titans by 6. I think it'll be a really good game. Gold Coast by 6. First try score, I'm going to go with Keanu Kinney at fullback to score the first try. But yeah, Titans to win, and I think they'll win by about 6 points. Should be a decent game. Probably be high scoring. Now, moving on to Saturday night, and we have a blockbuster game to look forward to. Now, if my predictions go the way that I think, if the Sharks win this, they could make the top 4. So, Saturday night, 7:35, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs up against the Cronulla Sharks from Accor Stadium, 7:35 kickoff. The Bulldogs, $1.60. The Sharks, $2.40. This will be a good game. The Bulldogs, obviously no Carraz, so Tuwala goes onto the wing. Kickout's back in from being in hospital. Everything else for the Bulldogs is per usual by the looks of things. As for the Sharks, Ramian is back. Rudolph is in the front row. Peru on the bench. And yeah, the team looks pretty good for the Sharks. Pretty strong. You know what? I think the Sharks can win. I really do. Okay, you know what? I'll be up front with everyone here. I don't think either of these teams are a premiership contender. I can't see the Bulldogs winning the comp, and I can't see the Sharks winning the comp. So I think this is a really good battle between third against fifth. I don't think either can win the comp, but I guess you never know these days. considering the Sharks are playing for fourth spot, if the Broncos lose, the Sharks can take fourth spot. And I reckon they will. So I'm going to go for what is considered an upset on the betting odds. I'm going to go Cronulla to win this game, guys. I'm going to go the Sharks by 4. I think it will be a great game on Saturday night. First try score, I'm going to go Jacob Preston from the Bulldogs. I reckon he might score the first try, but Sharks by 4. Should be a good game, this one, on Saturday night out at Accor Stadium. Sharks to win. Sunday, Dolphins up against the Raiders. 2 o'clock game at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. Now, before everyone writes Raiders to win, the Raiders are resting about 8 players. They are resting everyone. They are not taking a chance. They're not risking anybody. They're resting them all. So I do not blame them for doing it. The Dolphins are $1.25. The Raiders are at $4.20. Now, the Dolphins team, Fini Fuliaki comes in for Lemu Lemu, who's out with an injury. I think it was a HIA for Lemu Lemu. Everything else looks pretty as per usual for the Dolphins. But number 22 in the reserves, Herbie Farmworth. Keep an eye on that. Herbie Farmworth. That could be a late inclusion. So, Herbie at number 22 could be a late in for the Dolphins. That would be big if he were to play. Now, for the Raiders, they're resting a lot of players. So, Chevy Stewart will go to fullback. Michael Asuma on the wing. Adam Cook and Ethan Sanders are in the halves. I've got Horsburgh as captain up front. Mariota in the front row. Noah Martin in the back row. Matty Nicholson returns from injury. That's a big inclusion. Matty Nicholson. And on the bench, I've got the likes of Trey Mooney. Wature, I don't know who that is. That must be a debutant. And Joe Roddy must be another guy on debut. Look, considering Friday night, what happens there with the Roosters if they win or lose, this could be big for the Dolphins. So I think Dolphins will be too good for the Raiders. They've rested everyone. The Raiders don't care about this. The Raiders care about week 1 of the finals now. They don't give a shit about this game. So up there at Redcliffe, I think the Dolphins win. And I think the Dolphins win well. So Dolphins by about 18 points. I think they'll be a little bit too good for the Raiders. First try scorer, I'm going to go with Jermaine Asako on the wing. Bit like I said earlier about Saab. Haven't seen Asako score for a while, so I think he might score the first try. And the final game, does anybody give a fuck about this game? Like, this might be the worst game of all time. Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, Combank Stadium, Eels and the Knights. Eels, $1.25. Knights at $4.30. 35. This game is absolutely disgusting. The fact that this game is on live and free on Channel 9 is diabolical. Why schedule this game to be the last one of the regular season? This is horrendous. This game is going to be terrible. I might not even watch this game, to be honest. I might not even watch it. Looking at the teams, Dylan Brown goes to 5'8". Sean Russell into the centers. What do we got here? Samrani on the bench. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? And for the Knights, Fletcher Hunt the fullback. Gagai back in the centers. Jake Arthur in the halves. Yeah, this is the additional Jake Arthur Cup here. Let me tell you. The Dylan Brown Jake Arthur Cup. That's what they should call this game on Sunday. Kyle Pearce-Paul plays his last game for the Knights before he heads off to the Tigers. Anyway, like I said earlier, I don't think anybody gives a shit about this game. So, look, I think Parramatta will win. The Parramatta are actually playing all right, to be honest. Parramatta will win, and I think they'll win well. Eels by 16. First try, I'll go Dom Young. Why not? Newcastle might score first, but Parramatta will probably run away with it and win easy. So, Eels by 16. Dom Young to score first. All right. Let's go through it quickly. Broncos Storm. Storm 1-12. Manly Warriors. Manly 13+. Roosters Souths. Roosters 13+. Dragons and Penrith. Penrith 13+. Gold Coast, Titans, West Tigers, Titans 1-12. Dogs, Sharks, Sharks 1-12. Dolphins, Raiders, Dolphins 13 plus. And Eels, Knights, Eels 13 plus. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your tips in the comments section down below. Thank you all for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe. Love yous all. Thanks for watching. See yous in the next one.